some of everything I do is meant to improve the quality of someone else's life. How could you not need to find meaning in every single thing you do? If I start working on a project and then I don't finish it, or I feel scattered in my BCBA supervision, or I don't write goals that are meaningful or whatever, that negatively impacts somebody else's life. And I just think that's why I find people in this field, especially once you become a behavior analyst or people RBTs who have been in the field for a long time and are really invested in it, it can't be just a job, because every single thing you do is leading towards a greater good for another person.
Yeah.
And so you have to be motivated by that meaning. And I can't separate that. I can't just phone it in and feel good about phoning it in and be like, okay, I got a paycheck, whatever, because then that person, I'm not impacting somebody else's life in the same way.
Welcome back, everybody. I am Christina Torres, and this is the Reinforcing Conversations podcast with Nicole Stewart and I. And welcome to season 2.
Hi, I'm Nicole Stewart, and this season is made possible through support from the New England Center for Children. The New England Center for Children, for over 50 years, the worldwide leader in autism education and research. Through our schools, clinics, consulting services, and the ACE ABA software system, we are shaping a more inclusive future for all.
Woo, shout out to Nat.
I know. Love it. Love it. So, Christina, you want to tell everyone what we're going to talk about today? Because I don't know. It's one of my favorite topics.
I know. It's something
They're
that
all my favorite topics.
Every single day, guys. We're going to be talking about motivation.
Yes, I love it. The big MO. Oh my gosh, I love it. Motivation is just so important because it affects us, it affects our clients, it affects everyone. And I think we underestimate how much of a part of ABA it is often. I feel like a lot of times people only look at the antecedent, the behavior, and the consequence. And you actually also have to look at that first, are they even motivated? When if we're doing a program and that antecedent is in place, are you even motivated to do the behavior?
Yeah. And one of the things too, I always share with, whether it's a therapist or a family member, right, or a teacher, right? It's ask yourself, is it a skill deficit or is it a motivation deficit?
Mm-hmm.
Are they lacking the skill set to be successful and that's why they're trying to escape? Or is it a motivation thing? There's too many problems. And so they feel like they'll never be able to get through it. So how can we kind of figure out which one it is and then address and support them and go from there?
You explain motivating operations. Let's say I'm a new parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm frustrated because my kid sometimes can do something, but sometimes won't do it. How do you explain that?
So I always, this is one of my favorite models is low effort, high reinforcement, right? So when it comes to explaining motivation, I always try to let families know, okay, we want to support them in a way that is so low effort for them so they could see this was really easy. And then help guide them and fade out the support because now they actually reached that contingency or they were able to accomplish. It also comes down to a lot of the inside feelings of oh my gosh, we want to empower our learners. We want to support our kids and make them feel confident in navigating their environment. So let's help motivate them and they're you could do it. You could do it. That's why I really love early intervention because I use ABA with my daughter all the time.
I know. I love it.
Yeah, and she's 3, so she'll be like, I can't do it. And I'm like, baby, you can do anything. I'm going to help you. Ready? Go, Snowy, go. And then she builds that momentum and she does it. And then she's so proud of herself for being able to accomplish it when she thought she wasn't able to. So motivation is such an important concept that I feel like a lot of people undervalue or they don't really understand the whole concept of it, right? And it could be, you could really motivate someone, but just encouraging them with words. It's something that is so low effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I think your example with Snow is you're motivating her. It's I ran a half marathon once and I was thought I was just going to die on the parkway in the middle of Brooklyn because it was I didn't sleep well, terrible. And I had a friend who was texting me. If she's listening now, which she could be, thank you, because she kept me motivated to finish it. Where I was not getting stuck in those oh my God, no, I felt like I was going to be left on I forget what the parkway is called in Brooklyn and it's going to drive me nuts. But whatever the Brooklyn half goes through, sorry, my New Yorkers, I needed that little motivation and little bit of pride and somebody being encouraging me to make me want to
continue on to finish, right?
Does not get an Uber in the middle of Brooklyn and come home, to actually finish it. And I finished it. I don't know. Did it take me 7 hours to finish a half marathon? Maybe, but I finished it, and I feel like it kept that motivation of like, "Okay, I can finish this. I want to finish this."
Mhm.
Because I had somebody cheering me on, and I really appreciated that.
So, question, Nicole, what
Yeah.
motivated you to actually enroll in that in the first place?
Oh, you wanna hear about my exercise journey? We were talking about how my for everybody who's listening or watching, my little podcast studio that I'm creating is in my attic because it is the only room in my house that I can easily close the door and my cats can't get in. There's not really any other space that's, like, conducive to making a studio other than this. So, Christina, this morning, I went up and down the stairs and was, like, dying. So, Christina's probably shocked to hear that I've ever run a half marathon. Actually, I've done 2. And when I was in my 20s, you wanna know what motivated me? Actually, motivated I really wanted to have nice arms for my wedding.
Oh my god, I can see that.
And I didn't because I fractured my foot. And then this half marathon was, like, years after my son was born, but I'm not a good exerciser. I've never been a good exerciser. I don't like being uncomfortable. I don't like being sweaty. I don't like kinda like being alone with my thoughts. I'm not good and I get bored of things. So, like, I actually did when I was trying to get in shape for my wedding, because I wanted nice arms, because I had, like, a nice strapless dress. What I did is I was living in New York City at the time. I would take exercise classes at different places. So I consistently did running, and I worked on the Upper West Side, and I lived in the West Village. So I would, like, run home, which is, like, a good 6-mile run.
Mhm.
I would run home once or twice a week, and then I would run on the weekends, and then I would in addition to that, I would take random exercise classes. So I would sign up for, like, the trials of different things, and I do, like, a month at Pure Barre, and then I do 2 weeks at Crunch, and then I do 2 weeks at this other place, and then 2 weeks at this yoga studio, because I would get bored really easily.
Yeah.
And I actually had a blog for a while, and I was in this, like, whole, like, exercise community where we would, like, send each other stuff and, like yeah, I like
Learn about that phase of your life.
yeah, like, a whole different and so it became this, like I was motivated and this is, like, just to tie back to motivation, I was motivated to have nice arms for my wedding, but then I actually, like, found all these other ways, like, to enjoy exercise in different ways and ways that it reached me so that I was able to do it, and then I continued running after I had Jack. So I stopped running when I was pregnant. I actually was supposed to run a third half marathon, or that would have been my second because my third one was when I was pregnant with when I was after Jack was born. But I was supposed to run a second one in November of 2013. So I was pregnant. And so I knocked it down to an 8K. And I always say to Jack, like, we ran an 8K together. But all of my friends did a half marathon and a couple did a marathon, I think. A couple of them did a full marathon. It was like one of those races where you do all of them.
In this environment, so I have no idea what the difference between all of them besides the distance.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a distance thing. It's just a distance thing. And I and then I ran after Jack was born, and then I ran when we moved to New Jersey, and then at some point I was like, "Now I'm done with this."
Yeah.
The motivation was completely gone. I was like, "I'm done here. We're done here."
So, obviously when you're running a marathon, like you don't just decide one day, I'm gonna go running and then run 5 miles. So how did you keep yourself motivated to kind of shape that longevity of being able to accomplish finishing a race like that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I had a friend who is a runner, and so he made me like a training spreadsheet, and then I would just follow like, okay, today he told me to run this much, but I fractured my foot. So
Yeah.
this is like what happened is I fractured my foot.
Extraneous variable.
What?
Extraneous variable.
Yeah. And yes, that's a good use of that. And because I was running too much. So like you're not supposed to, you're right, because you're not supposed to increase it so much. So I put too much
Yeah.
stress on my foot and it fractured it like 8 weeks before I was getting married. And then it was fine by the wedding. And then I started running again and you have to train. You have to follow a training protocol. And it is hard because it's really easy to just be like, what if I just skip today? But if you skip today, then it messes up the whole thing. I just didn't. Like I
So
really don't know.
routine,
Yeah.
right? To stay consistent and motivated to know like your terminal behavior was to have nice arms, but also to run the
Yeah, yeah. I didn't have nice arms though, that's the funny thing. Like, I don't have I've always wanted muscular arms that like
a little line right here.
yeah, and I'm also very weak, upper body weak,
Huh.
and I don't know that I'll ever have nice arms.
Hmm.
That ship has sailed.
You're so
It's alright.
funny.
It's alright.
So
It's
in our
alright.
field too, right? Let's talk about intrinsic and extrinsic.
Yeah.
I know that is one of the topics that a lot of people kind of discuss with using a token economy and extrinsic rewards. So that I love, I'm a very big fan of token boards, especially when you understand how to fade them out.
Yes.
Especially useful for early intervention, like 3-year-olds and starting to build that structure and routine. And it's such a permanent product for like that cause and effect. Like, oh, we just gotta do this. And then, we're gonna go take a play and then slowly shape up their ability to attend to like a whole activity. So what are your
Mhm.
thoughts in regards to token economies? Are you like a fan of them or are you kind of iffy? Like what's your take in regards to that motivation?
So I feel like they have a time and place. I think when I work in school-based settings, I'm more on board with them because I think school is where you're learning and you're supposed to be learning. And so it's supposed to be hard. And so token economy can help get you over that hump of it being hard and reduce that barrier if you are dependent on like motive you don't necessarily have that intrinsic motivation because a lot of kids don't have intrinsic motivation. Like my son was like, who likes school anyway? Not a lot of kids have an intrinsic motivation, but kids with autism often then lack the social motivation to not misbehave in class, let's say. And they're just like, I don't want to do this task and I'm going to do what I need to do to get out of it.
Mhm.
And there's not the same like my son wouldn't do that because he would know that it would feel embarrassing if he like threw a tantrum over a worksheet. So he's motivated to avoid the embarrassment. And I think like sometimes you need an additional motivation for some kids, especially if that like social piece isn't there, they're like missing a piece of motivation that exists in the environment already. And so like token economies can help build that. I think they're tricky at home because I feel like kids become very dependent on like what's in it for me.
Yeah, I feel like I agree. I think in a school setting, it's super useful, especially when you have learners that might find difficulty of being motivated in general.
Mhm.
Let's like perfect example. That's why I really am a fan of elementary school.
Mhm.
Like
Me too. I'm
middle
not a big
school,
fan of older kids.
well, been there, tried it, not it, right? But I also feel like at some point too, like depending on the learner, because everything is individualized. Like a token economy is definitely useful for but not saying that it's not useful for adolescents. 'Cause we use token boards all the time. I use my Dunkin' app.
Mhm.
That's a token economy, guys.
Yeah, that's true.
You get your
I
points.
get points, and then you get a donut. I'm like, "Ooh, free donut."
Yeah, I everyone uses token economies all around us without even realizing that it's
Mhm.
you to engage in a specific behavior because you're going to get reinforced at the end, right?
I'm more likely to go to Dunkin' Donuts because I want my points from Dunkin' Donuts because I want my
Yes,
free donut.
yes.
Yeah.
My boyfriend is like, I'm not using your app. I'm like, I need my points. I go with him. It's like he's getting something, I'm getting something, Snow's getting something. That's a lot of points to collect.
My kids are always like, "Oh my god, mom," because I have to do the app and then I have to pay.
Yeah,
It's like a whole process.
I know,
And
right?
they're like, "There's people behind you embarrassing me." And I'm like, "My points."
Hey, my free.
Yeah. Now you know what both Christina and I are motivated by. I'd like donuts. Christina wants some hash brown.
But going back to the school, I think another problem a lot of people have in the field is that it's a tangible, like Velcro strip, like, oh, here's a token. But you have to kind of think outside the box, especially to support and empower our learners to get through a simple activity.
Mhm.
I was just scrolling on TikTok and I was watching a teacher, share stories of the learners in her classroom of like they're destroying the room, they're not getting anything done, they're harming other kids and all this and all that, right? Like there's learners that actually need so much more support and being able to provide structure and routine, especially since a child is in school for over 6 hours a day.
Mm.
Like,
It's a long time. It's a very
yeah,
long day.
it's a very long time. And also too, there's multiple chunks of the day that work has to be completed. They have to access
Mhm.
education, right? So, okay, I remember one of my very first clients. I was a one-to-one with him, and then when I became a BCBA, he was my client. And he was in elementary school. He had autism, he had ADHD, he also had ODD. In the very beginning of the school, as he would not be able to last 5 minutes in the classroom with all the demands. Oh, go put your foot close in
Too
the locker,
much.
get your book, go sit down. Guys, within the first 5 minutes of a school, there's a lot of demands placed on a learner. And that's another concept, the word demand, right?
Mhm.
Of compliance. But let's think,
Yeah.
okay, boys and girls, sit down, take your books out of your backpack, go put your coat away, come back and sit down, start working on your worksheet. Everyone be quiet. That's literally 6 demands in 2 minutes.
Well, also for a lot of kids, they're also processing the room. They're processing the space that they're in. So, like, their proprioceptive system might be processing how their body is moving in space.
Yes.
They're processing how other kids are the noise levels, the movement of other kids. Those are demands on their system as well.
Period.
Yes. And so it's like it's not 8 verbal things plus, I don't know,
Environmental
countless.
changes that are
Yeah.
now happening that
Yeah.
a learner has to engage in to be
Yeah.
successful in the environment, right? And
Yeah.
this is why a token economy could absolutely come in handy, right? So you're going to start off on an FR1 schedule. Oh, thank you. And also always acknowledge I provide tokens for attempts. It's like,
Yeah, me too.
you for picking up the tech. Thank you for listening. Thank you for this. Oh, okay, look, let's go take a break. You know what I mean? And then you slowly increase the ratio. And then also too, durational. We could use token economies using a durational schedule. My learner had a durational schedule, a gold star token for
Mhm.
safe behaviors. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he also had we had a dual schedule of reinforcement. He had a time-based one for his safe behaviors, and then
Mhm.
also had a FR1. It was a variable ratio of 5. At the point we got to a variable ratio of 5. So it's like we
It's
put it in,
amazing.
boom. And then by the time, and guys, this is a shaping process. Okay. So this is not overnight. You're not gonna like, oh, this is gonna happen. No. So August, our learner was not be able to even tolerate 5 minutes in the classroom. And he had his own separate room, especially when
Wow.
he engaged in, his behaviors to the point where he was crushing it. By January, he was in the class the whole entire time,
Oh, it's
not
amazing.
engaging any maladaptive aggressive behavior.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this our friend had extreme unsafe behaviors, but being able to
Wow.
leverage those two token economies to be able to help support him and empower him that he can actually be successful in his classroom, and you can absolutely do this math work. Look at you did it. Look, you wrote your name.
Yeah.
These little milestones that people don't consider, and think about how long a learner is in a school.
Right.
6 hours.
It's a long time.
Six
Yeah.
plus hours.
And so many different types of demands and so many different expectations. And sometimes it's easier, like you said, low effort, high reward. It's easier to just have a behavior problem and avoid the whole thing unless you put in the right motivational systems to
And also,
help kids see, like, oh, this isn't so bad. Look at
yes,
this. Like, I actually can do this. It
yeah.
made it worth it. It makes it worth it to try.
Percent. And
Yeah.
also too, what's nice about, I mean, there's so many perks to like a token economy, especially like less is more sometimes, right? So
Hmm.
let's say, okay, the teacher's providing instruction. It's like I put a token, so now I don't have to say like, oh, you're doing a great job. Now you get to fade out verbal prompts and all that stuff. It's like,
Right.
so there's so many pros and cons to token economies, but I honestly, when you know understand how to leverage a token economy and you fade it out effectively, but it's all about really helping a learner build that momentum to feel successful in their environment and helping them with that intrinsic reward of feeling accomplished and like, dang, I can do this. Yes, you can. 100% you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also for me with token economy is the other piece is making sure that it's actually there's like I see it as like two ways. Either making sure that the tokens themselves are conditioned reinforcers. So for like really early learners, they're like associated with reinforcement. So I've had kids where like I'll start where I just am like, all right, here's your toy and a token so that like the token always shows up when all the good stuff shows up at
Yeah.
first. And then it's just the last, if I'm working you up to 5 tokens, all you have to do is get the last one and you get your reward.
Hmm.
And then the last 2, and so, like, I fade it out so that it's, like, I've, like, conditioned the whole process as, like, "Well, this isn't so bad when this board is around,
Yeah.
get good things," and I like that I get good things, and that makes it more manageable. So I feel like there's those kids, and then I feel like there's other kids, and these might be more emergent learners that I feel that way, like, it needs to be conditioned, versus other kids that I almost feel like it helps break the day down where or the task down where you're like, "Okay, like, I've done a little bit and I've done that well." And I've done a little bit. It's like a symbol of like your progress towards being done with the task or being able to take a break. Like almost like I always think of those like thermometer things of like
Yeah.
fundraisers. It's like this is which is kind of like a token economy. It's like now we've made our way, we got another one, we got another one. Our terminal prize is we have enough money to donate to this cause. And so I feel like it's really important that the tokens or the process is motivating to the client too, which like for some kids could be just like little pennies or could be something else. Some
Their
kids
favorite
like I've
action
done
figure. I mean, I have
what?
their favorite
Yes.
action figure. I have a learner that's obsessed with Blippi. So it's like we got all
Yes. Oh my god.
different versions of Blippi and he loves it.
Yes. I've had kids that I've done board games, like where you move, "Oh, great job. Look at this. You did so well on that. I'm going to move you forward 3 space. Oh, look, we made it to the end." And then which is cool too. I love the board game thing because you can, like, add more spaces
Yeah.
too, so you can also, like, extend the duration. It's like, without necessarily changing, you start with 5 and then 7, and it, like, doesn't look different. Not like, "Oh God, I've added more."
I've seen token boards where it's like, oh, we have to complete a bear, and it's like an arm, a foot, a head,
Yes!
a feet. It's like, oh my god, that's so cool. Or a car,
Yeah,
a lot of our learners love wheels and spinny stuff.
yeah.
A great way to kind of adapt what a token economy board looks like for,
Mhm.
so it's not kind of like so versa for those that are like so against a token economy.
Right.
But you know what? You have mentioned something too, right? Because this is also a
Mhm.
hot take where it's like they gotta work for a token. And it's not, it's like people have a lot of hard times with the words that we choose, but it's literally, yeah, hello, our learner has to complete this academic worksheet modified to their thing, and they're in school, they're in this setting. This is work, right? So it's, yes, it's not all work, and there's a lot of play, but it's like there's structure and there's tasks that have to be completed for our learner to be
Mhm.
successful in the environment that they are in. Whether they're learning a new skill or they're in school finishing a worksheet, completing math task, right? It's like it is work. So for people that like everything can't be work, but work could be playing a game. Work could literally be
That might
being
be hard.
people. Work is literally whatever your concept of work is. You have to understand it's not just the work that you're thinking of. Our learners have their own individual work and tasks that is work.
Mhm. Yeah, like, tolerating lunch and handling, like, a cafeteria might be work for our kid. That might be something that they're working on and that, like, is hard for them. I feel like I think of the word work as, like, I'm accomplishing something that's hard for me when I think of the word work. And, like, if that's something that's hard for you and the token economy makes it easier for you to get through it and find success, then you're more it's gonna I feel like I see these things as, like, then generative. It's like, okay, you're getting used to now you're in this environment because what's the other option? You just never go to the lunchroom?
Hmm.
What am I do? You don't This is a kid who can't handle the sensory experience, maybe the smells, maybe the fact that other kids are crazy in the lunchroom. And so maybe you start with like, okay, we're gonna go in for 5 minutes. Great job, great job, great job. Great, you made it 5 minutes in the cafeteria. And now it's 10 minutes, and then suddenly they're in there for 30 minutes. What's the alternative? That they never go into a crowded cafeteria or meal space?
They never go to a concert, or they never go to
Right.
a Disney
Such
on
a good point.
Ice, or they never go to other places where there's a mall, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, especially if it's a
A
sensory
food
issue,
court.
we
Yeah.
support the sensory headphones, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like helping them adapt to the environment so they are successful. And also
Yeah.
that's another thing, right? It's like, oh, well, he's sensitive to sounds. Okay, well, he doesn't tolerate the headphones. Well, in order for him to be successful in this environment, he has to learn to adapt to headphones. So then we could use the token. I'm like, okay, 1 second. Okay, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
When something is new for a learner, it could be very scary. So to have them see a visual to understand, like, oh, okay, boom, boom, it's over. And then it's like, boom, 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 over. And then they realize, oh my gosh, these headphones actually help and they're not that bad. And they're a little hard to adjust to. But now I see why they're useful in this cafeteria environment or at the recess or a gym with the echo
Mhm.
auditorium. You know what I mean? So people have to really understand when it comes to work with the learner, it's literally the learner's work that they are working
Yeah.
on for them to be able to be successful where they are at.
Their growth. I feel like maybe that's about, like, their growth. This is helping them grow. And I think where ABA sometimes does go wrong is that sometimes we use these you and I are talking about these really functional, meaningful examples, and I think a lot of times, 1, token boards can be used for discrete trial, and it's just like boom, 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 and here we go, and now you've done 10 things, and I see this. I go observe kids, and I see this, and now they've earned the tablet, and they're over here, and then it's not that functional, and it's not that meaningful, and so it feels robotic. And I feel like you and I are talking about the way that we can use it in these like functional, meaningful ways to make somebody's life more like easier. More easier is not words. Make their life easier so that they're able to function more independently and more successfully and
Mhm.
enjoy things more. And if that can like reduce that motivation versus like, I think I see an ABA, and this is like, for our BTs and RBTs listening, I think where they lose motivation, at least that I see, is like when you get stuck on like, now we're just using this token board all the time and the kid is totally dependent on it and we're not doing anything and there's no forward progress on like fading it out or using it less or increasing the demands, and you start to feel like, what am I even doing here? Like all I'm doing is like, what's this? What's your name? What's this? Touch this. Now let's play a game. And it feels You don't feel the motivation of like, wow, I'm really having an impact on this child's life.
I think also it comes down to explaining the use of a token economy, right? Because it's like,
Mhm.
oh, like every one thing he gets, you just put a token. But like really helping the therapist understand the value that a token economy is going to bring for their session, but also their learner, but also the success for the therapist.
Mhm.
Hey, eventually we're going to fade this out. And especially as a BCBA, we're not with them every single day. So like I'm gonna check in with you. Like, okay, do you think it's time to kind of scale up? Like, okay, he's actually,
Yes.
yeah, like he's knocking these FR1s out. I think we could definitely do it like a variable ratio now, or like, he could definitely do like about 3 demands, or he's going through the whole worksheet now without the token economy. Because the whole point is also to fade out. So I think if RBTs understood, or behavioral therapists or teachers really understood the concept, the whole concept of the value a token economy could bring when you actually implement it with right intentions, and like
Yeah.
always understand the end goal is to fade out, right?
I think another piece that gets underestimated, and I will tell you a story about a client I had a long time ago where we did a token economy. I conditioned the tokens as reinforcers, or I thought I did, where I was like, here's your token, here's your reward, and then building it all up. He was responding pretty well. So we used it across programming throughout the day when he was sitting at his desk. Because otherwise he was eating edibles. Like the only thing that was really motivating for him was edibles. And so he was every like 2 to 3 correct responses, he was getting like a piece of a pretzel or a piece of a cookie or something. And like that adds up throughout the day. And that's not healthy. So we wanted to have the token economy to fade some of that out, allow him to work for longer periods of time, and then eventually get to a place where we could do, one token board. He can work for 15 minutes before he like takes a snack break, or he can work for an hour before he takes a snack break eventually. But we got up to 5 tokens, and while he was responding decently, trial by trial or like program by program, everything kind of got stuck at like 60 to 70%. And he stopped meeting criterion and moving forward in his programs. And it was really important to keep track of that because anecdotally, when you're working with him, it felt like things were going really well. And then when I was like, man, he's been on like all these targets. Like we're stuck on a gesture prompt here, and he's stuck on this target, and he's stuck on this thing, and his hand washing hasn't progressed. And when you like can look at it holistically, I was like, ooh, he's not ready. He's no longer motivated to respond correctly. And while he's not necessarily having behaviors and he's not necessarily doing poorly, he's not learning at the same progress he was learning
Hmm.
when he had a thicker reinforcement schedule. And so we backed it off, and then we reintroduced it a couple months later, and we're like really worked on conditioning the tokens, and it went so like at a much slower clip, and it was so much better for him.
I know, like the edible topic is also huge.
Mhm.
But guys, and I remember I was talking to Dr. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. He did the essential for living.
McGreevy?
Yes, Dr. McGreevy.
Yes, Dr. McGreevy.
Yes, I had interviewed him at the New York State ABA conference,
Mhm.
asking him his take on edible arrangements. And he was saying, like, every learner is very unique, right? And especially
Mhm.
when it comes to learning new skills, if you are literally left to edible arrangements to teach something so functional that's going to make an impact on their life, then you have to use edible arrangements.
Mhm.
I've had a couple learners. I've had to use edibles. Lucky Charm marshmallows was
That's an
the
interesting one.
motivator for my learner. I had to go with her to the dentist because she needed to
It's
have
a funny one for the dentist.
right. So she had to get an X-ray because she had an ingrown tooth and they wanted to see if it was impacted. So
Mhm.
dad asked if I could come for a thing, and we knew Lucky Charms was her favorite thing. And think about this environment. You're not exposed to a dentist X-ray ever in your life. So how are we going to
Mhm.
for her to be successful, right? So
Right.
you have this big contraction that moves over here. It's this big, has to come. She's got to put it in her mouth. So it literally took 45 minutes, but she in modeling, I would take a turn and then she'd take a turn. FR1, like, oh, thank you. 2 seconds and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was literally giving her marshmallows when she was able to accomplish those. I knew that the duration was the end goal. Okay, she has to sit still
Yeah.
for seconds for them to be able to take this action to see if her jaw was impacted, right?
Right.
To accomplish that using marshmallows. I would not have been able to use that with a token economy or just her like, we don't want to restrain her, right?
Or like knock her out or something, like sedate her
So
because yeah, that's what
exactly.
happens.
It's like, okay, her highly reinforcer is marshmallows. So we were able to get her x-ray done and they were able to extract her tooth with marshmallows.
Mhm. And, like, I mean, that's such a great story and so amazing because I feel like you also think about, like, what are the risks? Here are our options, and which one is the least
Yes,
harmful,
exactly.
and which one is the most beneficial. Like, they all could get you could sedate her, you could papoose her, or you could shape this using an edible reinforcer.
That she's motivated.
And papoosing is going to cause trauma, having had to restrain kids to do those type of things, especially when those like jacket thing, like a straight jacket. I don't know what to call it, a papoose. And then sedating her has all sorts of like potential medical effects. I don't know, 15 marshmallows. Yeah.
Right?
And 15 marshmallows and positivity of like, look, you're doing it. Like, doesn't sound so bad. Doesn't sound so bad. Or just like suffering through it and just trying to get her to forcing her to do it and like causing this whole back and forth, which I've also been there where you're just like, come on, especially as a parent, like, can't you just do it? Just do it, please. I feel like I'm very fortunate. My kids are like good at the doctor's office. They're good at the dentist's office. Like, we set those like stages really early that they're very well behaved in those places and like very well understood. But I think like, I mean, they use rewards. My kids know when they go to the dentist, they get to go to the prize bin.
Yeah.
It's like half of why they go to the dentist. Like my son's like, oh, the fish. All right, I guess I'll go do the thing where you touch my teeth for a little while. Now the prize bin. Like they're not there to get their teeth cleaned because they think it's important to get their teeth cleaned. They're there because they get the prize.
Hmm.
And I think also with edibles, I was going to say, like, I think we underestimate how valuable they are to everybody and how well edibles work on any kid. You know, my nephew wouldn't leave my house a couple months ago. And I knew it was going to be an issue because he doesn't leave places. My nephew and Nolan are like best friends, they don't separate well. And so I knew it was going to be an issue. And I was like, look, if you just leave, I'll give you a Kit Kat on your way out. And he was like, okay. And he left. No problem. And
Yeah.
some people might say that was a bribe, but like, I don't know. He left. There was no problem. Made it easier. I'm not going to give him one every time. But I was like, look, see, you do know how to leave
When you
without.
leave, I'll give you a Kit Kat.
Yeah. I was like, here, take it. You're dressed. You're ready to go. You're out the door. Here's your Kit Kat. And it was like a fun size one. I also wasn't giving him like a king size Kit Kat. But I just feel like the trauma and the friction of having to get him out of the house would have been harder. And he would have left crying, and like that's not worth it.
Yeah.
That's not good. I don't know. I don't feel like that's the right solution. I just feel like sometimes like people think like, oh, we do that. And I do think there are ABA practitioners and ABA people who do default to that. But I think when you use it well, the goal is to reduce harm.
Yeah, and you know how you said that there's some that do default to that? I don't feel like the first thing you should go to is like, well, what's their favorite snack? That should be the
Yeah.
last thing you
Right.
go. It's like you have to really work through all the other stuff and have edibles be the absolute.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's not go straight to like, oh, they love Oreos. Okay, we're gonna now who's purchasing all the Oreos?
Right.
Now,
That's
what
such a
about
good
the
question.
patties that the learner's gonna get because now they're on an FR1 schedule and every time they get an Oreo. Like, no. Even like with little Cheerios, like it was just a little Cheerio. Like, let's work on other things outside of snacks and food to motivate our learners. Like, let's completely try to avoid that barrier. As like I said, if it's a last resort, it's a last resort, but it's
Hmm.
really be faded out.
Yes, I totally agree. But I do think I think that it does tie back to motivation. And I think because food is a primary reinforcer,
Yes.
which I don't know if we have to get into primary and second. I feel like we're a little like all over the place with motivation, but I think primary reinforcers are things that are biological needs, right? Food, water, sleep, shelter, sex, warmth or coolness, and pleasure. So those are things that we innately and biologically need. So food is always a primary reinforcer. And there's actually
We need it.
studies that have shown that when you do preference assessments that are mixed between like food and activities, the food almost always will rank on the highest. Like people will choose the foods first because they're a primary reinforcer. Like if you put out like four, and I actually did this in my grad school back in the day where I took a kid and did a preference assessment and four of the items were food items and four of them were activity items. And sure enough, they chose the four food items first and then the four activities after. It was like Starburst, Kit Kats, chips. And like I think even like the last food was something they didn't particularly like. But we're driven by food because we need it to function.
Somebody mentioned money, but money is a secondary. But with
Mhm.
money, you could buy primary and make
Mhm.
the primary reinforcers.
Yes. Money is a conditioned reinforcer
Yes.
because it's paired with access to our primary
Which
reinforcers.
goes back to motivation because you work to make money, so you're motivated to pick up that second shift, to pick up the overtime, especially it
Mhm.
being season and holidays. Like, oh, I need to make some extra money in overtime so I can buy these gifts. You're motivated
Yes.
to pick up these extra hours so that you can then exchange that token economy, because money's a token economy, for rewards.
Yeah. Yes. Such a good point. That's so well explained. And so, like, we do it. That's how we live our lives. So I also think, like, when we're teaching kids, and like to your point about I don't like middle school and high school either. But when I do use middle school and high school, when I do work with middle schoolers and high schoolers, I do like to use money
Yes.
in some way. And actually, I will tell you guys, hopefully Jack doesn't mind me sharing this. Jack and I have come up with a really great way. And I think the way that his ADHD brain works, I do things differently because I don't want him to get that mindset of what's in it for me. So we do short-term thing. He gets an allowance. There's like universal basic income in my house. He gets a allowance no matter what, the same amount every week. It just automatically goes to his watch. He has an Apple Watch. And then we were having an issue, which I think, Christina, we've talked about. He was having an issue like a year ago, probably more than that, 18 months ago now. Was it? I don't know. I don't remember what it was. Sometime in fifth grade. Maybe it was fourth grade. I don't know. But at some point in the last year or so, he was having an issue with text messaging. They all of a sudden all started text messaging each other. And it was like wild because I was like, what do I do with this? And kids aren't very nice. 9, 10, 11, 12-year olds. One says shut up, then they're all saying shut up, then somebody's saying shut the F up, and then somebody's saying I hate you, and then it like all goes downhill. And he is not an instigator, but he's often reads the room and might imitate the behavior that's happening in the room. And I didn't want that to happen for him. And so at first, I was like, as soon as you do it, you lose your phone. And then that wasn't working because punishment should not be the first thing we go to. So we flipped it, and I said, for every day that you don't engage, and you refrain from engaging, basically a DRO, and refrain from engaging in this, I'll give you $1 every week. And then if you do something like you're an upstander or you say something kind or you like check in on a friend, I'll give you another $1. And we're doing it for a month to practice developing these good skills.
I love that. And communication. You're practicing
Yeah.
communicating.
Yeah. And so we did it for a month, maybe 6 weeks, and I would check his phone. And he also knew, he was like, you're going to check my phone. He would show me. He'd be like, look, Mom, look what I said. And so he's like excited to share his phone and excited. He has like a phone that is like it's like the equivalent of like a tablet because you can't use it not on Wi-Fi. And then he also has the watch. So he would like show it to me. He'd be like, look, Mom, I did it. I did it. Like, look, I showed someone. And it was really exciting because he wanted, so now I've reinforced openly communicating with me, communicating appropriately in these chats and refraining from engaging in these chats.
And modeling appropriate behavior for his other peers to see.
Yes. Yes. And I don't have to do it anymore. And he was like, oh, this isn't so bad. I can refrain from it. Yeah. So we did it. We did it. So what I do with him is like we set a goal and we did it for like a month, 6 weeks or whatever. And now he doesn't earn. I was like, we're not going to earn this forever because this is just a social expectation for you. But to get you used to it, you get a reward for it. And you get money for it. And now we were having another issue where I was like, I can't nag you to do your homework for the rest of your life. Like we got like 6 more years of homework and I don't want to have to be on top of it. And I don't want to have to find out you didn't do it because I checked your grades online. And he was like, can we do the thing we did with my phone? He was like, for like a month, can we do that? And so that's what we're doing. You do your homework without me asking, you get $1. You do your homework with me reminding you once, you get 50 cents.
Nicole, I really like look up to your parenting
Oh,
strategies for your kids. No, seriously, like especially like
oh.
that 10-year-old, 8-year-old, right? 10, 8?
Jack is 11 and Nolan is 7.
Okay, I was close.
Yeah.
But like all these strategies that she shares, like I have a 3-year-old and it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta use that with my daughter. Especially like being a behavior analyst, like applying ABA to our everyday life, but being able to really use it to help our parenting skills.
Yeah.
I really look up to all these different stories that you share about your family and what you do.
Oh, thank you. I know. I hope my kids don't kill me for sharing all this, but like,
Because like there's the motivation. It's like, oh my gosh, I gotta
yeah.
be that age. And like
Yeah.
all about shaping kindness with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And my goal is to never use any of these things for a long period of time. That's the other thing. Cause like I am very bad at staying motivated for months on end.
And
Like, I'm like, we could do this for 6 weeks because I can't.
yes.
I'm just going to default, like behavior goes where reinforcement flows. I'm going to default to nagging you.
Hmm.
And even though that's going to reinforce, there's going to create a negative reinforcement cycle there. That's not what we want. And then we all feel bad about it. And like, let's try to create a cycle, create this pathway where we all feel good and then just stay on the path. Like once we're on it, we can stay on it.
Maintenance.
What?
Maintenance.
Yes, yes. But thank you. That's like such a nice compliment because I feel like I don't know, all of us as parents feel like we could always do better.
Yeah.
And there are times where I'm like, I'm a good, like, Nolan was vomiting last week and I was like, I'm a great mom. I'm doing it. I cleaned up your vomit at 3 in the morning and didn't cry.
Right. Pat yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's other times where like, I'm like, oh, everything's hard and I'm doing a horrible job. So
And
I do
especially,
appreciate it.
yeah, of course. And especially when it comes to like motherhood, right? Because
Hmm.
yes, you've been a mom for 11 years, but guess what? He's going to be 12 years, 12.
I know.
And you've never experienced parenting a 12-year-old.
I
So
know.
every year is a new baseline of parenting. And it's like a new phase that it's like you fall in love with because it's like, oh my gosh, this is the next chapter. And like to see
Yeah.
your parenting go pour back into your children and to see them actually like take these key strategies and carry over and generalize in the natural environment where we are not there, right?
Hmm.
So I'm sure like he probably at school would say nicer things outside of the chat. You know what I mean? Or not engage in school with the bullying and stuff like that.
He's better at not engaging, I think, in these kind of things. I think it scares him a little bit. I don't really know. I guess I shouldn't speculate on how he feels, but he tells me he doesn't engage in things, and I believe, I have no reason not to believe him.
Yeah. But going back to what you mentioned too, especially with the middle schoolers and like the older kids, like leveraging the concept of money because
Mhm.
money is a motivator and also it's like the key to independence for so many different things and autonomy, right? So taking the concept from a token board to then like teaching them about money, now they could exchange the money that they've earned, just like we earn money every week, every 2 weeks. Our learners are now understanding the concept of money. Now they could cash it in for a toy box at the end of the whatever it is.
Mhm.
And then generalize that skill when they become adults and they have actual jobs because now they're responsible and they understand the concept of like, hey, I earned this money and every dollar that I spent is a dollar that I earned. So my fifth grade teacher, Mr. Hart, he actually had like he used money too in like a toy box of like, oh, we're gonna exchange our points. So I think it's pretty cool to kind of start shaping that concept of money and
Mhm.
responsibility and that they earned it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think tying back to motivation too is that that's a motivating way to learn about money. And
Hmm.
I think oftentimes, like, I see people being like, "Where's the dime? Where's the quarter? Touch the dollar." Or like, "We're gonna go to the store and I'm gonna give you $5 and you're just gonna pay for the thing that I chose from the store." And like, that's not that meaningful. And I think that when we're talking about motivation, it's really connecting it to meaning
Yes.
for the person, for the other person, or for yourself. It's like, and I think like when you connect it back with the token, when you connect it back of like you did work and you earn this money and then the money you earn goes to something, they're also motivated to understand money. So
Yeah.
now like in addition to it being a token economy, helping get over hard things, you're teaching like a real world
It's
concept.
a behavioral cusp.
Yes, I think it's so important. Oh, I love behavioral cusps. I love them.
No,
They're
I
so
tell
fun.
yo every day you should be aiming to shape a behavior cusp. That is how
Mhm.
you're gonna make your learner successful in every single instance of their environment.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
You said something too. Well, I love that you said motivation is meaningful.
Mhm.
There has to be meaning behind everything that we're doing, right?
Yes.
And it goes back to the low effort, high reinforcement, right? um Once you acquire a skill and now you contact the contingency, the consequence, right? Especially if it's something positive like I did this, I earned this money, and now I get to buy this or achieve that. You're going to be motivated
Mhm.
to continue on and engaging in that behavior because you understand like, hey, I'm in control and I have a say of what I'm going to do and the impact I'm going to make and the consequences that I'm going to get at the end, which is beneficial. Consequence, guys, is not a bad word. Let's say
I
that.
know. Which again, like ABA, we suck at coming up with words
Yeah,
that
consequence is
don't mean
good.
bad things in English, like work, consequence, punishment. Those don't all mean bad things in ABA.
They're not all bad guys. Consequence could be a good thing. It
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Yeah.
Claire said schedule of reinforcement is so important too. Yeah, 100%. That's
Mhm.
what we're talking about. Shaping token.
I was gonna say when you were saying about making it meaningful, and I think that this is where the extrinsic motivation is really important. Reading, I think, is such a great example. I've taught a lot of emergent learners how to read, and when you're teaching somebody what letters are and what phonics are, they're like, "What the heck am I learning this for? I'm not motivated. I don't care about phonics. I don't care about all these letters." But then when they learn to read, and they maybe like can pick up a book and read for pleasure, or they can read the world
You
around them.
would order their food.
Yeah, I like that's a behavioral cusp, but in order to get there, there are learners who need token economies or edibles or extrinsic motivation because they don't understand, like, especially like I've had kids who are fully capable of reading who maybe are nonverbal or who have profound needs, but are perfectly capable of reading. But the problem is they don't understand why you're teaching them the foundation.
Mhm.
And then once they, like, if you can get them to learn the foundation, but you can't teach somebody to read a word without teaching them what letters are, teaching them how to break down the letters. You have to do reading in a sequence.
Yes, it's a shaping process.
And so in order to get to the point where you're like, "Oh my god, you're reading sentences and you're reading stories and you're enjoying it," or you understand how to use even how to search for something on YouTube. Maybe
Yeah,
that's what
I
your motivation is. They might not see that terminal goal, and they need the motivation until they hit that terminal goal and then realize like, "Oh,
the light
I
bulb.
like reading and I don't need a token economy to read anymore because I actually being able to type and find my YouTube videos is motivating enough."
Period.
Yeah. I feel like it's that, like, reading is such a good like, that is, like, such a clear example to me of that behavioral cusp of, like, you gotta stick it's like, I was a science person at some point in my life, and so I don't know how much you know about chemistry, but there's, like, something called catalysts that, like, you add it in to speed up the reaction, and that's how I view extrinsic motivators or reward systems, is, like, this is a catalyst that's going to speed up this reaction so
Mhm.
you can get to the end product. And sometimes, like, without a catalyst, the reaction won't happen. And so, like, you need it, but it doesn't mean you need it forever. And it doesn't mean you need it once you have the end product.
No, that it makes sense. 100%. Which all ties into shaping.
Yes.
Effective approximations to terminal behavior. Hello, the catalyst is that
Yes.
terminal behavior, the light bulb moment, the end goal is like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
now I know why I had to do all that stuff. And then it's going to motivate you to continue on.
Right. It's like, okay, now I want to be at the reading lessons because actually it's teaching me. And I do see this also with kids I work with that, like, who maybe struggle with reading, that when they get better at it, they're like, oh, now I want to keep doing it because now I'm seeing that this is something I'm enjoying and something that's meaningful to my life. And it's less I find reading to be, like, torture for kids in the beginning if it's hard for them.
Yeah, especially when they're not understanding the terminal, the end goal.
Yes.
They lack.
Yes, or they're like they don't understand how meaningful it is, the end goal. Like, I've worked with kids who understand, like, "Yeah, it would be nice to read," but they're like
And think
they don't know
about
what it feels like.
Yeah, and think about the concept of meaningful. Like as adults, we understand it's so meaningful and the impact it's going to make. But learners that are 3, 4 years old that are learning to read, right? It's like they don't understand the concept of meaningful or the impact that this activity is going to make in their life because they're
Mhm.
a young kid. So yeah,
Right. Right. I wanted to switch to talk about also, like, our role because I had this thought this morning that is so relevant to this, and because I'm thinking about, I wear many hats and I do so many things. And I struggle when I feel like my work is not connected. And I'm not one of those people who can just have a job. And I envy people who can just have a job and they can clock in and they can clock out and they don't tie their job to, like, their meaning and purpose in life. And then I thought this morning that the sum of everything I do is meant to improve the quality of someone else's life.
hmm
And so if I looked at that as a job, I don't know that I would have the same like, how could you not need to find meaning in every single thing you do? Because if I start working on a project and then I don't finish it, or I feel scattered in my BCBA supervision, or I don't write goals that are meaningful or whatever, that negatively impacts somebody else's life. And I just think, like, that's why, like, I find people in this field, especially like once you become a behavior analyst or people RBTs who have been in the field for a long time and are really invested in it can't be just a job because every single thing you do is like leading towards a greater good for another
yeah,
person.
yeah.
And so you have to be motivated by that meaning. And I can't separate that. I can't just like phone it in and feel good about phoning it in and be like, okay, I got a paycheck, whatever. Because then that person, like, I'm not impacting somebody else's life in the same way. Am I making sense?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I just think like we can't, some of what's motivating for behavior analysts is the impact that we have on other people.
yeah, and especially like for a lot of BCBAs too, it's like we work 1-to-1, right? We see the impact.
Hmm.
Wow, this is incredible. Like I want to do this forever. How do I grow in my career, right?
Yeah.
I make more money to be paid to do what I love.
Yeah.
But no, I agree
Yeah.
100%. It's like everything we do is like impacting someone else's life and it's going to make an impact to a whole family. And that is really, there's no monetary value that goes behind that. It's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah. And like, yes, I need a paycheck, and I need to feed my own family and I need to do my own things, but a paycheck isn't enough for me.
Mhm.
I need to feel like I am showing up and having an impact every day. And I think, like, I'm not the kind of person who can just, like, show up and phone it in. I mean, maybe once in a while because I'm human, but I think that I'm not the kind of person who can just phone it in and be like, "Yep, I came in and I did my job from 9 to 5 and then I left and I went home," because I'm so motivated by the work that I do. And then I don't feel good. I'm also, like, motivated to avoid the negative emotions of, like, being an ineffective behavior analyst. I feel like that's a big part of my life.
That's a big term to for you to even think of yourself in that lens of like, "Oh, I'm an ineffective BCBA."
Yeah, I'm motivated to avoid that feeling.
You should not have that feeling exist at all. Head girl.
Sometimes I think that there's environments, like, and I think that's why I'm very intentional with the environments I put myself in, because if the environment makes me feel ineffective, I can't I gotta get out of there.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot handle it.
No, let's talk about the workplace culture,
Yeah,
right? Especially in the clinic setting, right? When
yeah,
there's multiple personalities, multiple therapists, and especially when, we might have staff or even in the school setting, right? Paras, and it's a part of that multidisciplinary team that actually does not want to be a team member. They're just here because
mhm,
they need to be here, and they're not seeing the perspective of like, hey, it's us and we, not he or she. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It can be hard to collaborate when it's not the feedback, when it's not being reciprocated, right? So then you're not motivated. It's like, why am I going to continue on to engage, stay in this environment where I'm not being reinforced and nobody's collaboratively working or don't have the same vision or values to really pour into our learners? So
mhm.
what do you want to do? I don't want to work. I want to. It's a now that you got the EO, you want it's aversive. You want to not.
Yeah,
You're gonna start looking for another company because now you don't want to start downing what yourself like. Damn, I hate this career, or I don't want to do this anymore. No, if you start feeling like that, change your environment.
uh-huh. I mean, that's how I felt as a clinical director. Like, some of it might have been culture, but some of it was also the company was growing and I was supervising more and more people, and that made me feel more and more ineffective, and then made me want to avoid doing my job because I was, like, getting assigned all the, like, employees that had difficulties and then, the parents that were unhappy. I was getting the things assigned the things I was good at, but not the things that made me feel effective.
Hmm.
And I was like, "I just wanna work with kids and families, like, all I wanna do is, like, help people," and I feel like this is not helping people, even though maybe it was. It led to me feeling ineffective and unmotivated,
Hmm.
and then hard and, like, to reverse your motto, it was high effort and low reward, and I think a reward for me is feeling like an effective behavior analyst and feeling, like, competent in my job.
That intrinsic feeling.
Yes.
I live.
Yes.
Let's see how everything kind of ties back.
Yeah, more so than the paycheck. Like, yes, I need the paycheck.
The
But when
paycheck
it
is a
feels
plus.
like yeah, when it feels like high effort and low reward, I'm gonna go find a paycheck. Like, to me, I'm like, I'm gonna go figure out how to make that money doing something else that I feel good about,
Yeah, that's lower effort and it's going to be fulfilling
but
for me.
higher reward. But I have a lot of friends not in the ABA field who don't experience the same thing, where they just, like, they go to their job, they do their job, and they come home, and they don't have that same struggle that I might have. Like, they might be like, "Yeah, I hate my job," but then they just, like, keep doing it.
I think also I feel like this is a variable when you're working in the healthcare space, right?
Mhm.
Not like, and I'm not saying like other jobs are not meaningful, absolutely, but like, we're really supporting and making an impact in changing people's lives. It's not like we're, going to do a task that's the same every single day. You know what I mean? It's not like stocking shelves or mowing the grass. It's like we have to interact with people. We have to be mindful and we have to have emotional intelligence and we have to have patience and we have to understand everyone that's in a room we have to be accountable for. We have so much more
Yes.
responsibility. This is not oh, let me go clock in and clock out. Especially when we go into a career because we really love what we do, right? And
Yes.
everyone's gonna love what they do. And sometimes too it's like, hey, you chose to be in healthcare, so those are variables that you are supposed to expect to encounter, but also understand like, okay, well, I can manage this, I can handle this, right?
Mhm.
So it's just kind of part of the environment that we're in. And especially when
Yeah.
we're so passionate and we're so motivated and we see the quality that we could bring, and it's hard when it's just kind of at a block or there's a barrier because
Mhm.
there's a disconnect somewhere.
Yeah, and yeah.
Like your motivation to. then it's going to lead to burnout, right? It's now there's aversive variables. It's like, oh my gosh, it's an uncomfortable encounter. What am I going to do?
Mhm.
I got to find a new place. And then this one, like all these other variables that's like, oh, why do I got to deal with this?
Yeah. And I think I'm highly sensitive to that, but I would say that that's a it's not I don't think I'm that unique particularly to our field. I think our field may have a lot more people, and I don't know, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a lot of people in our field who are very sensitive to that experience because I do think we are looking for work that makes you feel competent and effective and makes we're looking to give back to communities. And
Hmm.
so if you come away from your day or your job, and yeah, we all have those days where we're like, ugh, that really sucked. But if you come away from your week after week after week feeling that way, it burns you out where you're like, why am I working so hard and on a hamster wheel for nothing? Nothing's coming of it. And like, I think I work with people who I have friends who are just like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. Maybe they work in marketing and they're like, yep, we've gotten nowhere on that account because everything I suggest they all hate, but whatever, I'm getting paid. I don't have that same feeling.
Hmm.
I'm not like, whatever, I'm getting paid. I'm like, oh, whatever, I'm bad at my job. Or like, I hate my job and don't want to do it. I'm like, I got to get out of here. And I think for people who may be experiencing that in this field, like what I did is I really took a look at like the things that I enjoy and the things that bring me that feel easy to me and the tasks I go to first, and then try to find spaces where that was more likely to happen, and those were the things that I got to do. So, like, if you're in homes and you're not enjoying it as an RBT, maybe you need to be in a center. Maybe you're gonna contact the reinforcement you're looking for in a center. Maybe it's being able to see the graphs more often or, meet with the BCBA. Yeah, be supervised more often. Or maybe it's really hard, like you're not motivated because the parent, when you work in homes, you find the parent, like making small talk with the parents to be a barrier. And it like decreases your motivation to go to homes. Working in schools and centers, you don't have to interact with parents as much. And I think like that's a very valid thing is, we don't always, you want to work with kids. Maybe you don't always want to interact with all of the adults.
Yeah. That's why I always share too. Like if you're starting to get to that point, like switch your environment. You
Yeah.
might find a different environment. Maybe you try something new and you're like, oh my gosh, I would have never expected I actually enjoyed schools. Now it's so reinforcing to me. I found that love again for the field.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a field where it's icky. It's like, oh my gosh, it's a science.
Yeah.
The environment that you're in is icky.
Yeah. And I think for me, I had been a classroom teacher and then I like moved up and became a clinical director. And I was like, I just want to work with kids. And I found that I do this one on one work with kids with more like ADHD or anxiety or who are not diagnosed. And I love it. And it's like reinvigorated me in a different way. And it's a completely different treatment model. But I didn't want to go back to the classroom. But I wanted that same feeling of like, I get to do the work with the kids and I'm kind of in control of the program and what we're learning and what we're doing. And the problems that I'm solving are directly related and not like, okay, this staff member quit and now I have to figure out the schedule and now I have to do this or I have to move teams around. Like I wanted the things to be so tied back to the just back to the kids.
Hmm.
And I really thought I was like, I really enjoyed when I was in a classroom, but I don't necessarily want to do that at this point in my life because I think it was too rigorous. And I found this space where like now I'm providing direct services this low dosage kind of by accident because I was like, oh, I'm going to do private practice. And then those were the type of clients that I was getting. And that's a more sustainable business model.
Especially like you mentioned, right? Like we're constantly evolving ourselves, just like the science is evolving.
Hmm.
You're evolving in your career. Every time you switch environments, you're learning new things, and you're like you just have a more broader, holistic approach to things because of your prior experiences.
Yeah.
And the more clients you work with, the more exposure you are going to be able to reflect on, but also ultimately being able to advocate for your future clients, right? It's like, well,
Hmm.
I've had this been a variable before. Let's rule that out since I know this
Yeah.
is something that was a variable to be mindful of.
Yeah.
So the more experience and exposure that you have within the field, it's like the more confident you're going to be able to navigate the environments that you're in and have that sense of control and peace of mind of knowing like, oh, I'm confident in navigating this and supporting the next future leaders of understanding the learners that we're supporting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the more you learn what you like and don't like and what motivates you and what you work hard at versus like maybe what you avoid, like what I avoid, where I'm like, why am I avoiding this thing? And I'm like, oh, because I hate it.
Yes.
The abolishing operations are in place and I do not want to engage in that behavior.
I don't find it reinforcing.
Yeah. I don't find it reinforcing. So I don't want to do it. I think it's taken me a long time to kind of come to terms with that
Hmm.
and like feel okay with it. And I think like when you see other people who just like go to work and they're fine with it not being reinforcing. I'm like, just not one of those people.
Mhm.
I just have to accept it. And if you're not one of those people, then hi, email me. I'm also not that person. So I get it. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, we did a lot of yapping about motivation.
Yeah. We did. I feel like we went to the moon and back on motivation, and I love it. If you had one takeaway to share with people, what would yours be?
I think I like this last topic that we kind of talked about of being motivated in your work environment because when you're
Mhm.
motivated and you feel fulfilled in the environment, you're going to show up your best version of yourself.
Mhm.
Motivated to educate your therapist or the parent on a specific concept to better have them understand why we might be implementing this or why we might have to arrange the room. So I feel like that motivation piece of knowing that you're fulfilled and you're being reinforced in the environment that you're in is crucial because I know we have a huge, burnout statistics in our field. And
Mhm.
motivation absolutely has something to do with it. So if
Yes.
you're motivated to go to work every day, you got to figure out what is the variable, what's so aversive to me, why I'm not feeling fulfilled. And if you can't solve that problem, then change your environment. Because at the end of the day, it's up to us to be in control of the environments that we are in.
Mhm.
If you're not happy and you're staying there, that's on you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not advocating for change or you speaking up of what bothers you or asking questions, that's on you. So at the end of the day, if you want to accept that for what life is and your environment and continue to work in an environment like that where you're not finding yourself fulfilled, that's something you have to really keep in mind.
Yes. I will also say with that I do know people who can't change jobs that easily sometimes. Maybe you're in supervision, maybe you don't have space, like maybe you're dependent on it for your health insurance, maybe you've been there for a while and they have really good benefits or PTO time or very flexible. You might not be able to change jobs so quickly. You might have to accept like, "Hey, I'm really not engaged in here. Let me go find other ways to feed my engagement and to feed my motivation. And let me find or maybe I need to advocate more here or something." Like there's a way to also kind of accept like this is the space I'm in
Hmm.
and this is the reality of like, yeah, there is low motivation. Maybe you need to make your own token system. Like for every day that I go to work and I don't complain, I'm going to give myself $1 and then when I get $10, I'm going to go to Dunkin' Donuts. We're going to get some hash browns and donuts. Yeah. So I think that that's also a piece too, is like it doesn't it's understanding and accepting your motivation too.
What's yours though?
Yeah. My takeaway, I think, is that we've kind of gone everywhere, but I think is that motivation, if we experience abolishing operations and we experience times where we don't want to engage in things that are hard for us, so do our clients.
Hmm.
And that is okay. And like, I think that just the whole picture to tie it all together is that motivation, like going up and down and being motivated to do things in one setting and not another is normal for the human experience. And I think it's something to normalize when we consider the clients that we're working with. And I think like one thing I always try to do is that not necessarily put myself in the client's shoes, but try to create empathy by understanding their perspective of like, when have I maybe felt not motivated to do something? And what do I do when I don't feel motivated? Like, oh, I don't feel like taking out the trash today. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to lay in bed. Instead, it's really cold and raining. I'm just going to lay in bed. And our trash didn't go out. And now there's too much trash. And now whatever. Like, I also avoid things. And so I think that gives me like a deeper empathy. And so I think just talking about us as adults and how we experience motivation and then translating it to our clients, I feel like has helped connect it all for me.
Yeah, and the
So,
motivation is meaningful and it's different.
hmm
I think that was also a big takeaway.
yes, yes. So, do you want to send us out?
All right, guys, catch us next time on
Yes.
Enforcing Conversations podcast.
I love it. You should be our theme song. And follow us and like and subscribe and please share us. If you are enjoying our podcast, please share with your friends so you can get the word out. The more that you support us, the more podcasts that we're able to do and the more episodes that we're able to do. So please reach out to us, subscribe, and share. We would love to hear from you and we would love your engagement.
All right, guys, see ya. Bye.